Hello, my name is Richard Williams and I've produced this short video to introduce a proposed new one-year Master's programme in Practical International Business Management. The programme is intended for students who have already graduated with an honours degree in business management and are looking to a bridging study for effective entry into the workplace, possibly as a part of a fast-track graduate scheme. The programme was recently viewed by Marco Mongilio, the Associate Dean for International Studies at Surrey Business School, and I met with Marco yesterday to discuss it in more detail.
So what is different about this programme than other programmes at the moment don't offer?
Yeah, I guess the aim of this, it's all about when graduates enter the workplace and how much they understand about the functioning of the workplace, and that leads to how operationally sort of effective they can be.
So you emphasise now, but also in the written document, the practical approach and the preparations that students will be ready to hit the ground running.
Running, yes. Yeah.
How would you make this happen? What type of training do you give the students? Would you envisage to give the students in order for them to have this readiness?
Well, there are 8 modules in this programme over the 2 semesters. It's a one-year MSc programme, and they are all compulsory, and there's a practical project at the end of it, and they're aimed at taking the student through each of the business functions, commercial, operational, and then look at broad general aspects like international and ethical being responsible behaviour. So it takes them through the function that they will encounter the day they arrive in the workplace.
So in your approach, it feels like all of these aspects are much more integrated, perhaps, and have a more practical approach.
Yes, it's about the practice and the practice as seen in the workplace, as well as it being part of an integrated whole of how the workplace operates, how the company operates.
And from your experience, this is what employers want?
Yes, I mean, when I was as a former chief executive, I found that students, when they arrive, would often take a long time to settle in the workplace in terms of finding where they could operate and where they could actually apply their skills, and that's something that I think employers want, which is students who are operationally effective when they arrive rather than months and months later.
If you go more into the details of what you propose, still speaking about the practical aspect, there is a project that you propose the students should do towards the end. Could you tell me?
Yes, I think the object, because one of the key issues with this course would be how close we can work with industry, and the key aspect would be that it's very much a practical project. So it might be something like an international business can typically have a lot of work that is being designed around the world, say in different countries. How efficient that can be done and how the digital technology can be further applied to make it more efficient is a huge issue for business. And so you might well get them on a sort of what might be called sort of like a semi-research, but also very much a practical based project. Doing something like that, that would be a classic.
Okay. Would this mean that the students have to work directly into a company, maybe for a placement? Or?
Yes. That would be important. I think whilst you could, because obviously bringing practitioners into the teaching of this course and the supporting of this course is important, and you could rely on them to give practical guidance. I think it needs to be within a company where there's a very real problem today, not something that could be seen in abstract.
Fantastic. You often talk about problems and problem solving, the ability of graduates to identify these problems and solve them. Is there also an aspect of being able to identify opportunities, perhaps, and see an opportunity where others see?
Without a doubt. And I think what this would give them would be an ability to see that opportunity, though, within the, I don't like to use the word constraints, but within the boundaries of a practical business.
Yeah.
And say that might be something to do with moving people around the world. So that needs to be seen actually within the boundaries of employment law.
And what are the boundaries we had to negotiate in order to potentially develop this program? What challenges do you think you would encounter if you started this program, if you wanted to implement it?
There are clearly some, really quite a few, to do with bringing in practice so much. It does need business practitioners involved, working with academics, and actually I can see many of the suggested modules would be joint presentations between the two, where people get the benefit then of both of the top class theory as well as the boundaries of practice, and that is going to be an issue as to how you can secure, particularly on scalability, enough business practitioners. I think we certainly have them associated with the school, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you've only got to look at the advisory board and there's an entire room full of business practitioners. I think the issue here is we're not talking about inviting people to come in and do a guest lecture of their own, their own thoughts about something. This is much more, it's clearly got to be properly structured and properly built around modules, and would be assessed as well. So they would be taking part in a much more professional engagement rather than just coming and helping out at the school, as it were.
Speaking of that, you mentioned as part of the assessment that you would envisage interviews.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yes, well, I'm aware, of course, you already do interviews as a method of assessment. I think it's a hugely effective way of assessing learning. And we're not just talking about it's not the area to assess just whether somebody has learned. You need to learn these 3 facts, ABC. It's not about that. It's whether people have actually started getting their complex skills together to be able to analyse things. And the interview can become something where you're just pushing and probing and testing the student in terms of whether they really have absorbed knowledge and can start to construct their own ideas and thoughts around that knowledge.
Okay. So it's you would use interviews as sort of a viva.
Yes. You
were talking about scalability, and this obviously makes us think: can we deliver this program online? Can we go anywhere in the spectrum between traditional teaching and learning and fully online, so blended learning and so forth?
Yeah. My own view, but maybe this is just an early view. I think there would be some challenges potentially of an online approach to this, because without a doubt the practical skills involved and the amount of that I foresee of discussion in class that is actually about concepts and then people responding to those concepts and seeing how they can be applied might be more difficult in an online approach to that. But maybe we've got to get a little bit more experience of using online in the sort of MBA territory.
Right. Thank you. So the complications that across international or global businesses are caused particularly by the differences in regulations, cultures, attitudes of people, ethics that you mentioned a lot in your design.
Yes.
So probably the question that emerges from this is, can we actually deliver any effective learning about all of this in the classroom? Shouldn't the students be exposed to this with first hand by actually going abroad during the program?
Yes, I think the only restriction about going abroad in the program would be time, the length of time. Because I think if you speak to a lot of business leaders, they would say if somebody lives for 6 months in a particular country, they're sent out in 6 months, they're out there, they'll start to scratch the surface of getting below the surface about what these complications and difficulties are going to be. After a year, they'll know about them, and after a few years, they'll be able to solve them. is often the way we used to talk about it. And I think the difficulty with a very short timeline, very short exposure, maybe on a month, unless you set some very, very specific objectives that you want them to achieve while they're there, and of course you could do that, it would make it much more difficult to give them true international experience. And I don't think that experience will ever come. You can teach things in the classroom, you teach things practically in the classroom, but it will never come until you actually arrive in Kuala Lumpur.
So that makes very much sense to me. So my understanding is that this program would create graduates who are ready to start their experience.
Yes.
And employers would have to expect that.
That's a very good point, because I think it is that point that they could be then exposed to a number of things where they can be doing very useful work, including going out on potentially on an international foraging or something like that, an opening move, or even into a site that's already established, by having the sort of experience that's going to keep them out of the obvious trouble that they'll otherwise walk straight into.
Fantastic. That was a very interesting conversation, and which hopefully can take us much further, but the time allocated to us is now up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.